And we are on. All right, all right, all right, all right. This is You Can't Make This Shit Up. We are in a remote location in the UCF area, unknown territory. It's kind of mellow right now. I'm David Washington, Joel Hawksley. Hey, Joel.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good.
I love the fact that we're going to be talking about government and efficiency today, and
Yes.
that I get to take a stand on less people, more effective, and you get to say whatever it is you say.
All right. Well, state government, DeSantis' Florida, is experiencing significant and extensive worker shortages, causing gaps in service delivery and high turnover. And I know for like agency like DCF, we're seeing 1 in 4 vacancies out of the workforce. We're seeing low morale. Um, Despite the low morale, Governor DeSantis is standing his ground. And I like this saying from Grover Norquist of Americans for Tax Reform, that conservatives want to make government so small that they can drown it in the bathtub. And this is what's happening in Florida. So what's your point of view on this one?
No, honestly, I think that what we have going on is we have more jobs in the civilian workplace. People that you're talking about in the civil service industry. I mean, listen, you can make more money outside of the government than you can inside the government.
Mhm.
You've had your student loans pushed off for forever and a day now, and those are going to come due, and you're going to need to be able to pay them back. So, look, being in government it doesn't ever pay back that master's degree, all the requirements you have to have. So I think smaller government makes more efficient government, taking on more responsibility. But our DCF has been broken for since I got here in 2000.
Oh yeah, that I personally know about DCF because I used to work for them for an odd year. And kind of going back to the deficiencies, and then I'll address your point about working for the state versus the private sector, which I've done both. As of October of last year, 28 of the 29 state agencies have percentages of of vacant positions in the double digits. The Department of Veteran Affairs had 39% of its positions vacant. Um, as a former state employee of 2 decades, 2 odd decades, uh, my master's was pretty much paid for by the state so that I can be in the managerial position. And the salary that was afforded to me, helped pay the bills. I contribute back into society, paid my taxes, so forth and so on. And for many people of color, state government or federal government has been a means of reaching the middle class. Now, as a business person, entrepreneur, I see that if I don't work, if I don't bring in the work, I don't eat. And it's not that automatic, paycheck. Don't get that automatic paycheck. However, there are benefits to both. I feel a more um, sense of fulfillment as an entrepreneur than the hard work of working as a state employee. There's benefits to both. However, it's not that I um, don't like smaller government. I like efficient government. And when you have vacancies, which I have experienced again for 20 odd years, when you have vacancies, cor- um, it does affect morale, and it affects how you do your job.
Well, I think government employees, the morale's down all the time, anyways. Because look, you're guaranteed a paycheck.
And
You
you're not
don't
necessarily guaranteed a paycheck.
yes, you're guaranteed a paycheck.
If you don't do your
You
job,
you
you
as
don't get
long as you
paid.
show up, you're going to
No,
get a
you no
paycheck.
no no
Listen,
no no
I've
no.
been in government. I was in the United States Army. When you become an employee of the federal government and you get into the union. Listen,
Joel,
civil service
Joel,
is the hardest thing to get rid of.
I helped several people to early
Oh,
retirement.
so did I, but I had to go through so much red tape. I finally just I finally just said, look, we need a better office. And let me tell you, when I reduced my staff,
Hmm.
I had more productivity because I didn't have those people that were sitting on their hands doing nothing.
Did you have the same amount of work?
I did. I had more work. And as a
Okay.
matter of fact, it made my employees feel more fulfilled because they totally came away with a knowing they did a good day's job. So look, it has double-edged sword, but I think the VA and the services I've been getting, you would never notice there's 39%, reduction. But then we couldn't fire any of them before. Now we can, as of Stephanie Murphy voted against it, but it passed under Trump, and now we have to hold them accountable. And I've been telling you about my doctor. It's not like I have any trouble with my services. She's given me every test I can possibly imagine,
Mhm.
and the longest I've had to wait for one was a week. And then the government now provides us the services of going on to into a hospital if a waiting list is any more than 30 days. So I think government is becoming more efficient with less people. And I think that DeSantis sees this. And it's not DeSantis that fills these jobs, anyways. It's the economy and who wants them. Young people coming out of school don't want to work for government.
But unemployment's at an all-time low. There's jobs galore, good jobs, quality jobs, not so good jobs, not so quality jobs. And this hasn't been solely a DeSantis issue. It hasn't. However, DeSantis has allowed it to persist, not accepting federal dollars for certain positions. And compared to other states, it's pretty miserable. And low pay and high workload are the main contributors of people leaving state government.
Well, I don't know about you, David, but if I went to the services I used to get in northern states compared to what I get here in Florida, they're night and day. I go to the DMV and in Seminole County. I wait my turn. I don't have all this angst and anxiety and these miserable people yelling and screaming like I did when I
But
would go to the DMV up
that's
north.
county. But that's
I
county,
understand, but the county is getting its money. It's getting its money through the same system. It's tax dollars.
right?
You used to be able to go to a tax collector in any single county to do
Right.
your
They changed that,
business.
right? They
But
changed
each
that.
one of them, because they wanted to reduce their workload, what did they do? We only deal with Seminole County residents now.
Right.
I mean, when we had in Seminole, we had the last of those tax collectors replaced by Joel Greenberg, who now sits in a
Right.
federal prison. So what I'm saying is services across the board, the things that I have experienced
Mhm.
don't reflect what we're talking about here today.
Because you've had limited experience with state services.
No, I work with a lot of state services, but I'm just
No,
saying.
I want you to give an example of a specific state service that's pertinent to the conversation.
Well, our state law enforcement, they've had their pay increased and they're working sufficiently and they have not had a decline in officers, whereas our county governments have had a decline. And that's when service is better. I think that every time I've worked with the state Department of State, I've had no issues. I've had actually really fast service. I've had my LLC uh, approvals back rapidly. I've had several during COVID, things were a little slower, but I've never had any issue with any of the government services I've used being delayed. But then again, I don't have children, and I don't have, I'm not living in a situation where I'm working with DCF and the really, down gritty. I mean, that's a horrible job. I mean, that's a horrible job because you're making decisions.
Yeah, it's a tough job.
You're making
Trust me, it's a
decisions
tough
that
job.
are
It is
life
very
changing.
demoralizing.
I would 39% in the VA is not like 39%
Right. In the
in the
federal.
in the DCF.
Right.
So I mean, we have state benefits. Like my VA benefits are not federal.
Hmm.
They're state. Now I go to a federal facility,
Okay.
but when I go to Baldwin, that's 100% state provided.
And
And
you,
I have great service at Baldwin. I have, good service at Lake Nona.
mhm,
But I'm a fan of Lake Nona because I'm a fan of John Micah and the man who built it. I
right.
mean,
So before we have our closing final thoughts here, seeing that there is low morale, staffing shortages at the corrections level, does that give you a concern?
no, I think my concern with the correctional facility lies differently. I used to be a law enforcement officer in the military. As far as an MP and a corrections, what we call the 95 Bravo and a 95 Charlie, which is now a 31 Bravo and a 31 Charlie. Those are just the nomenclatures of the position. But a Charlie had more likely was more likely to commit suicide, was more likely to uh, be in a depressed state or you know job job it's a hard job. You're in prison. Okay, this is really a different, like, this is night and day. Like, you're in prison.
Mhm.
You're a prisoner to your job. You are with prisoners. You are with the people that have done something illegal. You have people that are innocent or believe that they're innocent,
Right.
and they're trying to get it's constant. You're moving one person to another. You have people killing themselves. You have all this stuff going on. It's Those are stresses that your common person working at IBM is not going through. But yet they're committing suicide and stuff like that for selfishness. These people are committing it because they've been driven out of their mind from being in prison. See, every job is different, David. I enjoy working with you because you understand these things, but our our system of corrections is failed, and it's failed miserably.
Mhm.
But I can't say that the private sector does any better than the private sector, but I know private sector builds better facilities,
Right.
provides better services at the beginning, but we want people in prison to have luxuries like television and I mean, we some prisons are different than others, but
Rehabilitated.
rehabilitation where you're sitting there watching, you're watching porn in prison.
Right.
I'm like, hey, it costs a fortune to watch porn, so how you're getting it for free? Just
Uh,
joking, guys. I really am just joking.
as Joel's final word, hey, being the state government in the northern state, in the southern state, regardless of what state it is, it's tough work. And something, I'm for the better from the experience. And this is, you can't make this shit up. Joel, David, please like, share. We are your political innovators. Please let everyone know that. Share our channel. Hit the notification button. We out.